favorite yin yoga teacher. Thank you so much for the podcast.
Thank you.
You gave us a really good overview of yin yoga and its many benefits. And we're here to show you some poses. So at the end of the podcast, we did a little mini yin practice, which was awesome.
Thanks.
Left me like super blissed out. So listen to the podcast. Talk about yin a little bit. In yin, we use a lot of props.
Yeah. What we want when our body's super passive is to not be overworking it too much. So sometimes we'll do a pose and we'll be folded over, but there'll be stress in the back of our neck that's dragging our attention away, and we're getting all turbulent and reactive about the stress in our neck. So props are used just to kind of bring the floor up to you, to ease parts of the body that are just giving you trouble, so that you can keep hanging out and surrendering a little bit more. So you know, if it's something you get into, it's Christmas time, you know, you can ask for stuff. Your birthday, you can ask for things.
Great idea, yeah.
Put it on a wish list,
I love my bolster.
Yeah.
Sometimes in class, you'll like have us fold over the bolster, like.
Yeah. They can do all kinds of magical things.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So typical things would be a blanket. Now, you don't need, if you don't have any of this stuff, no worries whatsoever. Right. So a blanket can do all kinds of things. It can cushion under knees, if it got bony parts pressing into the floor, like if you're at your, let's say your office and you have wood floor like a ceramic or tile, and you want to do some stuff in the privacy of like your office or your conference room or whatever, you can grab a blanket, a towel, and have those kind of handy stuffed away. They roll up, they fold, they do all kinds of things. They can also be used to kind of stuff under pieces and parts that get uncomfortable. There's like a hip lifted up, you can just shove it in there so it doesn't have to work so hard, and it can be supported. So then bolsters are super helpful. They're denser, so they won't, like a blanket, you'll fold into it and then it just will smush. Right. So bolsters are awesome because they provide a little bit of support. So these are obviously more rare in our household. We don't have stuff like this, but this is basically a couch cushion, basically like a thicker, denser pillow. So if you've got, you know, throw pillows that are a little thicker, those things would work awesome. And then a block is something a little bit more firm and supportive. Sometimes we lay on them and we need it to not sink and support. Right. So this is something that's lesser used, but there are some poses where we lay over a block. So not that I don't think anybody has phone books anymore, but something that's a book.
No, they're gone, aren't
I know.
They? Yeah.
A book would be something super equivalent. Something that is a little bit harder and has like
the official Scrabble player's dictionary. It's not quite as high, but you could put two.
Yeah,
right?
But even if you had like, you know, a box, a shoe box, oh my gosh, that'd make a perfect yoga box or yoga block. So, you know, not super necessary. Towel, blanket, pillow really would be the perfect home kit or office kit for your yin yoga.
So let's talk about the little practice that you guided us through in the podcast and the poses. But before we get into that, I just want you to explain why the poses have different names in yin.
Yeah.
Or I mean, maybe there's not a why. Maybe they just are. They have different names.
So when we do, a lot of the poses that we do in yin yoga are similar to things that we see in our yang yoga practice. So we just give it a different name because it's going to evoke a different approach to how we do it. So, you know, a forward fold in a yang practice is going to be called like Paschimottanasana or intense forward fold.
Right.
But we don't want to do that in a yang practice. So to make sure that students are aware that the idea is to be softer and sweeter and passive, they're given names like butterfly and caterpillar, and so that you kind of start to feel the quality of what you should be doing in your experience. So it's more an experiential thing. Yeah.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Changes everything.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go through the three poses.
Cool.
I think you did butterfly
We
first.
did.
So talk us through butterfly.
Butterfly is sitting on your tush, and if you are sitting down, and like some of you, based on how your bones are put together, your knees will be way high up. There's nothing wrong with you. You're perfect. You just have bones that fit into the sockets of your hips different than somebody else. So if you're way high up, this is where like your blanket or your bolster would come in handy to wedge it under here.
Let's just do that.
Because if they're sitting higher up, chances are good that you're gripping in your hips and you're creating muscular activity, which is going to absorb the release of the pose to actually get deeper in. So support yourself if you need it. If you need to sit up higher, you can do that too. Like sit on a blanket, sit on a pillow so your booty's lifted up. Okay. And then you listen to inner hips and hamstrings. to determine how far out you want your legs to go.
Okay.
So
they could
the
go
farther out they go, the more you're going to feel, most of us, a tug on the on your hamstrings.
Okay.
The closer in, you're going to move the sensation and move the stretch more inner hip and groin.
Okay.
So even that's beautiful because day to day, you're going to feel different. One pose, one day is going to release your hamstrings, but that's different. You know, the next day, maybe it's inner hips, and you just move the feet closer in and do the same pose.
Okay.
So you find your sweet spot. You let everything go soft, knees go soft, feet, arms can hang. And then the goal is just to round forward. And so you go to wherever your body gives you that space of resistance. And that's just kind of something that's happening. There's a stretch reflex in your muscles, this little thing that fires to your nervous system. It tells your body, seize up, we're in danger. And so we're teaching our nervous system to be at peace, that we're not in danger. So we listen to our body and we stop at that place of resistance, and then we let ourselves soften. So Connie would just literally let herself, give herself permission to just melt, and then you just hang out here. You're rounding into the back, so you're gonna kind of put some pressure into the ligaments that are running along the back, and kind of spine gets a nice sweet rejuvenation. You're squeezing forward in your vertebrae, so you're squeezing out excess moisture and stuck particles in the discs, so you're bringing them back to life and creating more suppleness in your back, and then getting nice release through inner hips, and some of you feel it in hamstrings.
It's nice to get a little back rub while you're doing it.
Yeah. I'll come over. That's extra charge though. So.
Okay, so the next pose was
Caterpillar.
caterpillar, right?
Yeah, so
Okay.
legs go out straight. So this is a similar concept, forward folding, but straight legs is changing the pull. Think of pulling a fitted sheet over your bed from corner to corner. So you're gonna get a real deep intent. So this one is definitely for hamstrings. So those of you that are runners and swimmers and cyclists, and this is gonna be a really juicy one for you. So if hamstrings are uber tight, don't worry about it. Just slide a blanket up underneath bent knees so that you're not working so hard in your legs.
Okay.
Then you get to do the same thing and round forward and fold.
I love this one.
I know.
This one's awesome.
And if you're folding forward and you've got tension in your neck and something's just working overtime to hold the position, then that would be where you'd slide a bolster over to support underneath your chest. And then over time, the more time we're in the pose, the more pressure the muscles are putting on the deeper layers, and they're creating this kind of loving massage, which is pulling apart all the layers of the body, this sweet kind of subtle stress that's going to let all that stuff out. And you might feel yourself kind of dropping deeper and deeper in the longer that you hold, and the deeper we go, the more gook we clean out physically and emotionally too. So let your body take you in deeper over time if it goes there. Cool.
This is awesome. So
Yeah.
how long do we stay here?
3 minutes if you're just starting out, so you can get kind of comfortable with talking to the body in this way, because it will get cranky. You'll come up out of a fold after really pulling yourself apart, and you'll feel tender sometimes. So start with 3, just set a little timer, and then move up to 5.
And you
on
wanna
the average.
come out really slow.
Yeah, you move slow because these layers of connective tissue,
How are we
if
gonna
we
do
move
this?
them fast, twist, I would say
Okay.
probably that
So
way.
the final one was a twist, right? Okay. Oh.
Bolster.
Okay.
So
All right.
this is going to wring the spine out, which will also, when we take the knees over, kind of pull on the outer seam of the hips. So the butterfly worked inner hips. This one will kind of give you a nice tug to outer. Okay. So you'll take your knees over to whatever side honestly works best. We started with the right on our podcast, but so you're taking these over to the side, and you're not worrying about trying to pull them to the floor. You're letting them fall where they are, because where they're falling is where your kind of outer IT band and all of this side seam of you, that's where you need to be, because that's what anatomically your body is capable of, and this is where you're getting the release. So you're pulling and wringing out through this whole outer seam of your hips, your IT band, and then your spine is twisted, which is going to help to wring out the tension in the spine itself, and then continue to squeeze out the discs so that the back comes back to life, becomes more supple, fluid,
I liked how
and
you
lubricated.
gave permission for us to extend our arm in whatever way is comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. because this is a little.
We're all put together so
Yeah.
different, and we
Yeah.
can't. Our arm bones are
awesome.
completely different. Their length, their size, and so we have to let our body go where it wants to, because that's its innate nature. That's what feels good.
Awesome.
And then do it on the other side. Couple minutes, good to go.
Thank you so much for bringing
Thank
yin
you.
to us at the
Yay.
holidays.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no better time to do yin practice than during these crazy holiday times. So thank you so much, beautiful
Yes.
Jessie. Namaste.
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 That's awesome.
Cool.